JJ Abrams, deal at Warner
Oh,
Brothers is an embarrassment. Titled by Kamran Pasha from your Patreon. This is harsh, Cameron. What's going on
well,
here?
the thing is, some of you may have heard that a few days ago it was announced that J.J. Abrams has a new deal at Warner Brothers, right?
Mm,
And predictably, a lot of people just hearing that got very upset and said, "Well, when's this guy going to be over? This guy's not made anything good in a long time." Blah blah blah. And it's how can they keep throwing money at him? Well, the fact is they're not throwing money at him because I saw those reactions from people. I was getting texts from people. People were like,
hmm
I can't believe JJ's back in the game, blah, blah. I said, look, let's look at this. And my Patreon article is all about this. If you want to go into it, it analyzes how people are misunderstanding. JJ's actually took a deal that he wouldn't have taken 2 years ago. And it's becoming the buzz of Hollywood that he accepted this deal, like a negative buzz. Like, dude, you fall in this. The terms of these deals are so low. You're
Hmm.
just another guy now. You went from being a $250 million operator to just another dude like everybody else, which is what this
Right.
deal is. So let's go into it. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Let's do it. Some people, this is from your Patreon, among the fans and the YouTubers are outraged that JJ Abrams has inked a new first look deal with Warner Brothers, thinking that he's back at full glory despite years of inept shows and movies. But people in the industry understand what this deal really means, and it is an embarrassment for Bad Robot. Note this line from the opening paragraph. After months of negotiations, the company has closed a new film and TV deal with Warner Brothers, sources tell Deadline. The pact is believed to be 2-year first look, non-exclusive in both areas.
What it is, a first look deal, there's two kinds of deals, and we talk about more in detail in the article here, but there's two kinds of major deals that you get in Hollywood. One is
Hmm,
good and one is, I mean, look, both of them is, in a sense, you've got a deal. It's better than not having a deal, right? But one is
sure.
incredible, one is a lottery win, and one is just kind of your standard thing. And this, what he has is kind of a standard thing, which is what is called a first look deal. So, first look deal basically means that whatever ideas or pitches or projects or new book you optioned or video game you want to adapt, whatever thing you've got, you as part of this deal you are required to go to Warner Brothers first, and Warner
Mhm.
Brothers they're the first pitch, so you pitch it to them and they can scoop it up, and great. But if they don't, then no obligation. You can go off to Paramount, you can go off anywhere else, you can try to sell it somewhere else, right?
Mhm.
And so that's not exactly a very intimate relationship there. It's literally just guaranteeing you get the right to pitch. But you would think that someone like JJ Abrams would always get a pitch meeting available, right? But all this deal does is lock that in, that you will get the right to pitch it. Okay. And because it's not exclusive, it's not a lot of money as a result, because you're not giving up much. And so what are they going to give you in return? Not a lot of money. And this is a massive step down from what he had before, which, if you want to look in the next paragraph, which he had this deal that was what was the crimson deal. It was what everyone wanted in this town. And he no longer has that. He's got what everybody else has. So let's take a
So,
look.
as the deadline article, that one?
Yeah, just keep going down the paragraph. We'll see. Yeah.
As the deadline article above indicates, negotiations for this deal took a very long time, a point that is rarely raised in the trades, and indicates that the deal was contentious and Abrams was struggling to make something work for Warner Brothers. In any case, anyone didn't get the subtext. Deadline makes a brutal comparison between the deal and Robot's previous arrangement. It succeeds Bad Robot's previous big 5-year deal, exclusive deal, signed in 2019 at the height of the peak TV fueled overall deal bubble. That $250 million agreement, wow, was among a number of big ticket items that came under scrutiny following the April 2022 close of the Warner Brothers Discovery merger, when HBO pulled the plug on Abrams' sci-fi drama, Demi
Demi
Monide.
Monde. Demi Monde, I think.
All right,
Yeah.
tell us what's going on here. Wow.
Well, so yeah, actually, why don't we jump down to the very bottom of the article here, right? Because that will I have a little update, because some people are like, I still don't get the difference between the deals, and I
hmm
explained the update there. But what it is the deal that he had, the $250 million deal that he had, was, again, the gold standard, which was an
Mhm.
exclusive deal. Basically, he couldn't go anywhere else unless Warner's allowed him to, right? It
Mhm.
wasn't automatic. Okay, we didn't buy it, you can go wherever you want. It was he'd have to get permission from Warner's to pitch something else, but normally they wouldn't give it to him because they're paying him $250 million to essentially be an in-house generator, right? To be essentially on retainer, exclusively to them, and everything that he was going to come up and develop would be presented to Warner Brothers, and it would become a high priority for them to consider it, high priority for them to finance it, and he got $50 million a year for 5 years over that. So that's paying a lot of overhead, paying a lot of executives, and a lot
So
of that.
did he get that 250 million?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, yeah.
Jesus.
And then they decided not to renew it, right? They
And he
decided,
didn't do anything with that.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, those 5 years, what did he create, right?
what did he create?
I mean, I don't know what he did in those 5 years. I mean, and then he had this thing, Demimon, that he was pushing that didn't go anywhere.
Wow.
Right?
So he just paid off a
I mean,
lot
that's
of people.
$250 million black hole, right? To
Uh-huh.
produce nothing, right? And so it is what it. I mean, Netflix gave out a few of those deals as well. To the gentleman from American Horror Story. Like, he took like $200-300 million and didn't create anything until like the last few months of his deal.
One thing that should be made clear about first look deals is that they are the least desired kind of arrangement with the studio. All that a producer gets out of it is that they can share any new idea or project with the studio without any guarantee of it ever being bought, much less produced. There is no exclusivity, just the ability to get heard and pitch the buyer on a regular basis. That could just mean, oh yeah, email me the idea. Like, you don't even have to
Correct.
come
That's
into the
that's that's all it can mean. You don't even have to get a
right.
physical meeting out of it.
Don't
Yeah.
even know. We don't need a physical meeting to come in if wow. In return for that access, the production company gets a relatively small fee to pay overhead and salaries of executives. So they don't even get that because there is no exclusivity, correct?
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. No, well, they get some money. They get some money for the. It's a first look deal. It's an actual deal. Like, you're
Right.
getting
So you get
some
some
money.
money.
They get
Right.
some money, but it's not $250 million. I mean, it's very minimal.
No, no, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
By contrast, an overall deal is a lottery win. The producer has an exclusive relationship with the studio, and in return for that exclusivity, their projects get heightened consideration. Give me an example of a producer like that with heightened consideration,
Well,
like
I mean,
Taylor Sheridan,
I'm like a Jerry Bruckheimer, right? So,
Bruckheimer,
I'm assuming Bruck. Haven't looked as to whether Bruckheimer has a exclusive deal right now. I'm sure he has one somewhere,
but
but
he's had.
I'm sure, of course, of his career, I'm sure he's had them. And he's the kind of guy that, the moment you get that phone call, because he's on retainer, you've hired him to be your idea generator, right? Solely for you. So when that call comes in, everyone, including the head of the studio, takes the meeting, right? Because the presumption is you're more likely than not to just greenlight it, right? In that meeting, because you're already paying this guy. So, you want something to come out of it, right? And that's why you're being paid the big bucks. Is the presumption
Mhm.
is that whatever you're going to create is going to be greenlit. So you got to be really, really not producing for them to pay out this kind of money, and then them to keep turning down your projects, which is what happened with Abrams. A lot of my Hollywood friends were like, how can it be that he spent 5 years and kept getting passed on? Like, his projects didn't
Wow.
move forward. He was obviously presenting things as to them, and people, Warner Brothers, like, I don't know, JJ. I don't think this is the one. Come back with something else. I mean, how can you be doing that with all this money and allegedly you're, like, top access? And people were saying, my screenwriter friends were saying, dude, how come nobody in this company has been fired? Because that's just a disaster. How can you have nothing move forward?
Finally, you say an overall deal is the gold standard of Hollywood deal making. And in fact, that Abrams has dropped from top dog status to just another guy pitching Warner Brothers is a massive humiliation. Jesus, so what's the argument? People are complaining that, oh my God, he got a deal. It's like you guys aren't reading the
Well,
fine
but they don't
line
know what the
here.
deal is, because I mean, most
Right.
people making these commentary don't understand these deals. So
Hmm.
they just read a headline and then they go, you know, obviously he's still in the game and Warner Brothers wants to throw money at him, right? Into a black pit, black hole, right?
Mm,
Wow, this town is still, enamored of this guy. They want to go broke, go woke, go broke, go JJ, go broke, whatever. But the reality is, this is the very fact that this was even announced is
mm,
kind of embarrassing. The fact that Deadline then says it took months to get to this place,
hmm.
that any sort of,
Get
like,
where?
what is this? Yeah, to get like, you can pitch us.
Wow.
I mean, here's a couple $1 million. You can pitch us, right? I mean,
Wow.
it's the fact that this was even put out in the trades is kind of embarrassing.
No, it's yeah, because even I was reading the show sounded pretty good. It was a show that I guess he was working on, the Demimon. I guess
Mhm,
it's like a force, very kind of like
mhm.
slash X Files, or
Mm.
stuff like that. Or in I it's funny that they keep uh they keep having kind of like
Mhm.
the same reactions with him, right? Where he's was the golden child, and now it's almost like they're, would you say, Miss Pasha, that he's getting a little bit shunned,
Well, I've been saying that on Patreon for a couple of years now. I mean,
right?
Mm.
I mean, I said it when the Demimon deal was when the Demimon project was canceled. Back on my Patreon, I said this is a death knell for this guy, right? This is a
Right.
death knell, and it was a death knell. And some people on my Patreon actually suggested that the turning point for him was, just the Star Wars thing, that people, even if this town wasn't willing to say it out loud, people realized that Star Wars didn't go in the direction that it went to, and they're not just blaming Kathleen Kennedy for it; they're blaming him for it because he made two out of the three movies, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And the third movie made the least of the three.
Right.
So people feel like at that point it was discovered that, okay, this guy may not know what he's doing, and I want to be fair in the sense that, anyone who's seen my Instagram will see that I've met the man. I was teaching at Penn State, and he came up for a film festival where his father was being honored, who was a Penn State alum, and I met the
Mhm.
man, took a photo with him, had just a very brief hi hello with him.
Mm.
And so he's a perfectly nice person. I don't have anything against him. I think he can be very talented. If his first movie was regarding Henry, which is a good movie. It's
Mhm.
a solid movie. He wrote it when he was 19. Granted, his father was a famous producer. I met the father, right? And his father was a famous TV producer, so he had access to get Harrison Ford onto his teenage son's script, and it got
Mhm.
it made. But it's a good movie. It stands up as a good movie, and so he had a lot of talent. I think the challenge that he faced was that he had success too early, too easily, and
Right.
when that happens, is you tend to skate, and you tend to take things. You don't tend to maximize your talents when things are just given to you all the time. It's through the obstacles and the struggles of life that you force yourself to rise beyond what you think you can do.